In December 2022, in Chevy Chase, Washington, D.C., close friends Alyssa Kirby and Anna Walsh were inseparable, just a 5-minute walk apart. They spoke every week, their bond deepening until they felt more like sisters than friends. Now, as Alyssa looks back on those days, she recalls the things Anna confided in her, and the people who would soon become central to the investigation.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state your full name for the record and spell your name?
Yes, Alyssa Kirby, Alissakirby as in boy, Y.
And where were you living in December of 2022?
I was living in Chevy Chase, Washington, D.C.
And were you familiar with Anna and Brian Walsh?
Yes.
And how were you familiar with the Walshes?
We were friends. I was introduced through my brother and sister-in-law.
And what's your brother's name?
Peter Kirby.
And so how would you characterize your relationship with Anna Walsh?
Yeah. Anna and I quickly became really close friends. And yeah, we were new best friends, we called it. And we spent a lot of time together. We just kind of clicked like sisters.
And when did you become so close?
Shortly after she moved to Washington, D.C. and lived nearby.
So you said she lived nearby?
Yes.
Can you tell us how far she lived from you?
About 5 minutes around the corner, 5-minute walk.
And how often would you see her when you, once she moved to Washington, D.C.?
I would say we planned to try to see each other about once a week. It wasn't always that, but about that.
And how often would you communicate with her?
Similarly, about once a week, or when she would come back to D.C., we'd talk about when we could meet up and hang out.
And did you know Will Fastell?
I knew of him, yes.
And how did you know of Will Fastell?
Shortly after I started spending more time with Anna, she would talk to me about him as the man who sold her house, but then her interest in him and just hearing a lot about him as a person.
And what did she tell you about him?
She told me of...
At Christmas in 2022, a rare call from Brian Walshe immediately raised alarm bells. He said he couldn't reach his wife, Anna, prompting a close friend to offer to check on her. But just minutes later, Brian followed up with a message, "She's okay." Behind that reassurance, however, lay a deeper truth Anna had shared in confidence. She believed she was falling for someone else, a coworker named Will Fastell. And she had already told Brian
that she was interested in him, that she had a crush on him, but it was a lot more talk about their connection and, like, I guess what she wanted to have happen with him and her, I guess, just her interest.
And what did she tell you about telling Brian Walsh about this crush on Will Fastell?
She told me that she was open with Brian about her crush on Will and that he knew.
In Christmas of 2022, did you have communication with Brian Walsh on that day?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
Brian called me that day, and because he rarely or almost never called me, I answered, and he was looking for Anna because he said he hadn't heard from her. And so, because she lived around the corner, I offered to go over there and check on her.
And what happened? Did you go over and check on her?
As I was getting ready to go, he had messaged me back that he had gotten in touch with her.
On Christmas Day, the tension mounted. Anna's friend remembers a rare call from Brian Walsh, his voice unusually nervous and worried, asking her to check on Anna. Minutes later, he texted that he had reached her after all. Later that afternoon, Anna herself called a friend, upset and angry that Brian had involved others after only an hour or two without contact. They spoke for about 20 minutes and made plans to see each other again just before New Year's.
So when you say that you had talked to him first and offered to check on her, did you do that in text, on the phone, or something else?
I believe that first time was a phone call, and then later was a text message.
And do you remember what time of day that phone call was?
Not exactly, but maybe I feel like it was noon or early afternoon.
Okay. And what was his demeanor when you spoke to him on the phone?
That day, I think he was worried or a little bit nervous.
And approximately how long was it after you had spoken to him that he texted you?
I think it was within like 10 minutes because I was getting ready to go, and it was fast enough that I hadn't left yet.
And did you speak with Anna Walsh that day on Christmas Day?
Yes.
And when did you speak with Anna Walsh that day?
It was late, much later that day in the afternoon. I was already with family for the holiday, and she called me as she was driving up to Massachusetts.
And what was her demeanor when she called you?
She was very upset.
And when you say very upset, can you describe that?
Yeah, she was angry, and she was upset that Brian would have called me that day because, she said that she'd only not spoken to him for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, that it really hadn't been that long. And, there was already some strife, and then she had...
Sustained, non-responsive. So I'll strike the last part. Ask the next question.
Certainly. So how long did you speak with her for that day?
Maybe like 20 minutes.
And did you arrange to see her again?
Yes.
And when did you plan to see Anna Walsh?
I can't remember exactly when we planned it, but I know we had planned a day to get together right before New Year's to kind of see each other, hang out, catch up, and celebrate like a New Year's together.
And did you see her to have that celebration?
On December 29th, just days after the tense Christmas incident, Anna met a close friend for a night out. They spent hours together, starting at a neighborhood bar, then moving on to a karaoke and dance spot. But beneath the music and lights, Anna was unraveling. Usually strong and composed, she broke down, weighed down by the strain in her marriage, the distance from her children, and the stress of Brian's ongoing federal case. That night, she admitted she had reached a breaking point.
We'd been to a few times, and then we later went out to a karaoke dancing bar.
And how long did you stay out that night?
Like 6 hours.
So, what was her demeanor that night?
So that night, because of what happened after Christmas, she was really upset. She was kind of breaking down because everything had been really hard, which Anna was always a very strong person, so that was very unusual for her. And she was just really upset about so much. She had really hit a breaking point. And we talked about a lot of things because she was so upset.
Ms. Kirby, can you tell me what she was upset about?
She was primarily upset about her and Brian's relationship, about being so far away from the kids, and feeling like she was upset having found out that the federal case was delayed, or she thought that the federal case was delayed by Brian, and that she just really wanted to be with her kids. Their marriage had been really strained for a long time, and she told me how upset she was and how frustrating that was, and how she she was really at a breaking point.
Jurors, I'm going to remind you that the statements that are being offered with regard to Anna Walsh's state of mind are admissible, again, limited to establishing his state of mind, as is relevant to the defendant's motive to kill. To the extent that such state of mind evidence includes statements describing the defendant's federal case, Anna's statements are admitted only to show the defendant's motive and not to show that he had a bad character or propensity to commit any criminal offense. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Anna's friend said she had never seen her so distraught. Usually joyful and strong, Anna confided that she had urged Brian to take responsibility for his federal case, even if it meant serving time, so their family could finally move forward. She worried about their physical separation, admitting she was considering the legal steps necessary to bring her children to Washington, D.C., where she had already established a household in her own name. She also revealed the growing distance in her marriage. She and Brian had not been intimate in over a year, a situation she attributed to his depression.
Had you seen her like this before?
No. Anna was usually someone very, very happy, very joyful, very strong.
Hey, no characterizations, just your observations. Next question.
When talking, did she use specific words about what she had said to the defendant, which she had said to Brian Walsh, about the legal case?
What she told me about that was that she was upset because she wanted him to take responsibility. She wanted their family together. She wanted that whole process to be over, and she wanted him to be responsible, be accountable, and do whatever he had to do to keep their family together.
And what did she mean? What did she tell you that she meant by the word responsibility?
Yeah, at that point in time, responsibility was potentially just taking jail time and admitting wrongdoing and just owning a mistake, and so that their family, that she would be waiting for them and that their family could be together.
Did she give you specifics of what she had told you about the amount of time?
I think it was all an estimate, but at the time she thought maybe a year.
What did she tell you about the physical separation and her family staying together?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask that well. What did she tell you about being in different states and what that physical separation might mean?
Yeah, that it was really difficult for the family, but that also, because of how difficult things were, she was contemplating what that could mean legally being able to take her children to Washington, D.C., and also the physical separation from a husband was very difficult for her.
What, if anything, did she tell you about having established a separate household?
That she had told me that everything was set up in her name, the house in Washington, D.C., and the bills were, everything was in her name. So she was trying to figure out a way that she could have the kids with her in D.C.
What, if anything, did she tell you about her intimate relationship with Brian Walsh?
She told me that, aside from everything being really difficult, that they had not been intimate in a really long time, like maybe over a year, I think she had said.
And what did she tell you as to why?
She said it was because that Brian had been really depressed, and that the strain of the case had really just taken a toll on his mental health and their marriage, and that she felt also that that her energy was being really drained.